Peace, peace. What's going on, everybody? Joshua Tree back with another video. I just want to say thank you, everybody who's been subscribing to the channel and who's been supporting the channel. I really do appreciate you guys. Today's video is a special video from a good brother who follows me on here. His name is King Naru, and he sent me a question: how does one heal in the same environment that they were hurt and traumatized in? I thought this was an amazing question. And just for a little background of who I am someone who has done emotional work or spiritual work in general in the past 8-9 years. I've experienced a lot in terms of understanding how our emotions work. I've studied a lot on how our emotions work, especially for men. And today is going to be one of those videos. I'm very excited to talk about it. So thank you, King Nuru, for this question, and I hope this helps you, bro. And if anybody else who listens to this video, I hope this helps you as well. And let's just get straight into it, right? Let's get straight into it. So like I said, the question was, how does one heal in the same environment they were hurt or traumatized in? So I'm going to give you guys a lot of different perspectives, and I want you guys to get a bit of an open mind, because the way that trauma is, and I feel like how it's perceived nowadays, it needs to have an update on terms of like how to approach trauma and how to attack it, how to support it, to release it. So there is a common thing where people say that you cannot heal an environment that made you sick. Okay. I've noticed that that's a lot of common themes that a lot of people share. And let's just start with the first thing that I'd like to talk about. All right. You have to have a mindset towards self-healing for self-healing to be successful. Me personally, I've never went to therapy, any traditional therapy, let's just say. I've invested into multiple alternative healing modalities. And I've literally healed, I'm going to say a great bit, maybe a good 90% of my childhood trauma, because I am a childhood inner child specialist. I am an inner child coach. So it's my duty to know how to do that. And so I dove deep into my darkness, let's just say, to cultivate the light. And so if you're looking to do the self-healing work for yourself, which is extremely possible, you have to have a certain mindset. And the mindset is just as I just said it. It's based on a proverb, from darkness comes light. Okay. I'm a person who loved and still do to dwell in my darkness, because I knew that's where all the light was at. So it's a certain mindset that you need to have when it comes down to self-healing. And so for me, what I've done was I've challenged this belief that you cannot heal yourself in an environment that traumatized you or the environment that made you sick. So I will share with you guys why I think that doesn't make no goddamn sense. Because when you think about it, if you was to remove yourself from the environment that made you sick, you're going to recreate another environment that's going to make you sick. How is that possible? There's the law of correspondence. As above, so below. Anything outside of yourself is a reflection that is going on within yourself. So if you're a very, let's say, emotionally chaotic person, and you find that you just struggle with your emotions, and you remove yourself from an environment, that will help out tremendously. But if you still haven't healed yourself, or if you just move from another environment to another environment and don't have the tools to heal yourself, you're going to create another chaotic environment. So what I realized was that, no, I'm not running from nothing. If peace is within me, why am I trying to travel way to the Middle East? Or why am I trying to travel way to a beach? Or why am I trying to travel way to the Bahamas or Jamaica when I know that the peace is inside of me, right? So you have to understand that, yes, the environment has created the sickness, has created the trauma, but ultimately it's still up to us, regardless of where we go in life, to address it, to bring the energy inward and address it. And by you addressing it, your external environment starts to look more safe. Your external environment starts to look more, let's say, peaceful. It starts to look more and congruent with your internal world. All right. So you are peace itself. So when you walk in peace or you embody peace, everything around you have to reflect that, because that is the law of correspondence. So I say all that to say that it's very possible for you to heal in your environment. It is very possible for you to heal in a toxic environment that created the toxicity within you. You just have to have the tools. And the tools I'm referring to are the practices that can help release the trauma, right? You have to have the mindset that you're doing this for evolution. That's so important. You have to have a mindset towards this. It's just not making the simple decision, it's making an actual, I'm sorry, it's not making a simple selection, a choice that this is what you want to do. You have to make the decision. It has to be heart-based, that this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do, rather, right? For my evolution and growth. And that was my biggest obsession for the past 19 years, was I had an obsession of healing myself, to where I damn near became what they call a self-help junkie. I invested into multiple dozens and dozens of courses, books, you think about it, digital courses, retreats. And so I am looking to pour all that back into you guys, and hope any of this information I share in this video can help you. Because my goal is to share that you can do all the healing work by yourself. You do not have to attend any retreats or any workshops. You do not have to really buy too many resources. And when you have the right materials. And I felt like I've definitely collected so much materials over the past 8-9 years that I'm willing to pour that into you guys. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to knock out the way, is that it is about the mindset. It's the mindset of evolution. And it's also knowing that if you remove yourself from an environment, just know that if you haven't done the healing work, that environment will start to will regenerate itself and become chaotic again. Now, here's another thing. Of course, there's a flip side to it. Definitely leave, right? If you can get out the environment, if you can leave, it makes it so much simpler. Side note, right? This is a story I want to share with you guys. I'm looking to relocate right now, right? And I'm looking to relocate in a place that it really fulfills me. It creates a lot of expansion. And what I've noticed being in this particular location for a very long time was that I felt so good. I felt so free. I felt so more, let's say, authentic, in terms of like this new version of myself. I notice when I go back to my hometown, which is New Orleans, okay, I start to feel like I was de-evolving. I start to feel like I was constricting. I start to feel like I was getting back to the old version of myself. I say that to say, I realized that when you leave, like really leave, people cannot identify, the people in your past cannot identify with who you are, because you're not in that same environment. So say your name is Ray Ray, you know what I'm saying? And you used to sell drugs, but now you're trying to like not sell drugs anymore. So you move to another location, you could start a whole new life. That in itself is healing. But if you're trying to stop from selling drugs in the same environment, everybody around you is going to still identify with you as being Ray Ray the drug dealer. So you're trying to like remove from that traumatic experience, because say, it might have had a lot of traumatic things that you witnessed as being a drug dealer. So you don't want to identify with that identity anymore. So if you're still in an environment where people don't really respect or don't have the awareness to address you from a different version of yourself, then it's going to keep creating that, that reenactment. So I would say, if you can leave the environment completely, definitely do that. That is the easiest, most obvious solution to healing, you know, obviously outside of an environment, but, in an environment that you need to get away from. Okay. But what I just shared earlier is more what I recommend. You do the work in the environment, because if you do the work in the environment, you damn near invincible. That's how I see it. But like, that's take a certain mindset to carry. So I don't expect everybody to have that mindset. So now that we talked about that, let's talk about what trauma is real quick. This is a book that I've been recommending to people. I highly suggest you guys get this book, This book will tell you everything about trauma. I'm going to be speaking a lot from this book in the next few videos that I may be making, but please get this book, okay? All right. So, what is trauma, okay? I'm going to speak more from his perspective because I love his perspective. In a nutshell, trauma is an unprocessed, highly charged form of energy. Trauma is a highly charged, unprocessed form of energy. Okay. And so understanding the foundation of trauma is based off of perception and perception only. Your interpretation of what you deem was traumatizing to you is not the same for everybody. Now, they have common trauma experiences like physical trauma, like, being physically abused by, say, your parents or a partner, or getting in a car wreck, or, wars and like, gang violence and worldly things. That is more of a common physical trauma, and most people think that that's just what trauma is, and that's it. That is not just trauma. That's one aspect of trauma, but there's so many different types of trauma. Okay. And so it's based off of your perception. So say, for instance, you were a child and you had a teddy bear, and you had a dog who came and ate up the teddy bear, just completely tore it to shreds. That could traumatize you because for some reason that teddy bear could have been your emotional, let's say, energy, supportive energy at the time. It could have been your best friend at the time. And if that dog came and ate up your best friend at the time, that could traumatize you. That could literally be a trauma. On the flip side, use that same narrative. If someone else doesn't really care about teddy bears, they're more of an action figure person, right? That's not going to traumatize them. So trauma is really perception. It is really based on perception, and it's an overwhelming sensation that happens in the body. It's an overwhelming sensation that happens in the body that stops processing to get released out the body. So let's move a step further from that. Understand that, but please understand what I just shared with you guys. Now, I want to talk about two things. So, like I said, it's an unprocessed emotion or unprocessed energy that is stored in the body. Where does the trauma get stored in the body? It gets stored in the nervous system. This is why people talk so much about having a very calm and relaxing nervous system, because your nervous system is constantly stimulated, under sympathetic stress, which stands for, or in short terms, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is relax and digest. The parasympathetic is more of the feminine component, which is about relaxation and healing, and the sympathetic nervous system is more masculine. It's more about fight and defend. Okay. So your nervous system is always and only triggered when it feels threatened by something. It's always being mindful of any forms of potential threats in your area, whether it's perceived or as an actual physical threat. And so when your nervous system is activated, it has a perception. It is, let's say, something has came through and triggered it, and now you are stimulated, and now all of these physiological sensations are happening. Your heart rate might be pumping real fast. You might have sweaty hands. You might have a lot of thoughts start running, start racing. Your gut might start to tighten up. It's a lot of things that will happen when your nervous system is activated. Okay, so just to recap that, it's stored in the nervous system. And so it's important for you to do basically nervous system work. You're basically looking to heal your nervous system, looking to calm your nervous system, to keep it in a parasympathetic state. The more that your nervous system, let's say, is in the parasympathetic state, the more self-healing naturally would take place without you even doing anything. Think about it like this. When you go to sleep at night, you're in a parasympathetic state. When you wake up in the morning, you feel all rejuvenated. You feel revitalized, especially when you say, for instance, you get a cold, right? If you have like a common cold or something like that, they tell you to drink a lot of water and get a lot of sleep. Why are they telling you to drink a lot, to get a lot of sleep? Or you can say that too, even drink a lot of water. Like I said, it deals with rest and digest. Drinking a lot of water helps flush out the toxins out the body. Resting helps to rejuvenate the body, right? Because it deals with the what's it called? Restorative part of ourselves. So uh being in a parasympathetic state is the healing component. So when you wake up after being, having a common cold, you wake up, you feel much better because you just healed. The body naturally heals itself. We ain't gotta do too much. We just gotta give it a little bit of assistance. The body naturally heals itself. Okay. So talked about the nervous system. All right. Now I want to harp on this part right here. I want to talk about triggers. I want you guys to start to reframe triggers, because triggers is actually the catalyst for your healing and your growth. You want to utilize triggers to help you heal. This is what I did over countless, like I said, over these past 8, 9 years. I always pay attention to what triggered me. So most people, when they get triggered by something, and let's just say for people who may not know what a trigger is, a trigger is that emotional response that you get from an external stimuli. So let's say, for instance, someone cuts you off in traffic. That event that was outside of yourself created an internal response which activated your nervous system, and now you're hyperactive, you're hyper aroused, and you're ready to fight or flight. You're activated, you're ready to go. Okay. You have to be mindful of your triggers. So what most people do, this is a thing, is what most people do is when someone or something triggers them, what they immediately do is say, look, I'm about to go ahead and remove myself from this person because I don't feel safe around this person and they keep triggering me. You don't want to do that. Like, you want to do that for the sake of keeping your nervous system from constantly being activated. But what you really want to do is actually thank them. Give them some grace and be grateful that they have revealed to you something inside of you that's unresolved that you haven't healed from. Look at triggers like helpers. Triggers are literally there to help you discover something inside of yourself that you have not let go of. So when you're getting triggered by something, you're feeling all these sensations in your body. These sensations are indicators that something is wrong. These symptoms, if your heart is racing real fast, if your gut feels real tight, if you're getting sweaty palms, these are symptoms that something is wrong. So you need to bring your awareness to your body, bring your awareness to your thoughts, and try to see, why do you feel so triggered about the experience? Think about if you had a common cold. When you start sneezing, when you start having a runny nose, when you start having a dry cough, you don't just dismiss it. You address it and you say, I think I'm coming down with a cold. And so you start to act accordingly to try to heal the common cold. It's the same thing when we experience a type of emotional trigger. You have symptoms. The symptoms varies, but for the most part, you might feel constricted. You may feel disassociated. You're going to feel this hyperarousal sensation. You may feel helpless. You may, like I said, you might feel your heart racing real fast. You may feel real constricted, like you can't breathe. These are symptoms. So these symptoms are indicating that something is going on. I need you to bring your assistance to me. Like I said, the body needs a little bit of our assistance. So we need to, in a sense, kind of evaluate why we're so triggered by what someone has said or what something has happened in our current life. Why this particular event or person, place, or thing has triggered us so much that our body is shutting down. So utilize any form of trigger that's outside of you as an opportunity to heal, an opportunity to go back home. Because like I said, this video is strictly for people who are into self-healing. To go back home, reassess, reevaluate, and see, why do you feel so triggered? And evaluate that. Okay, that is so big. We have to reframe triggers. It's not so much about, oh, I'm about to cut this person off. If you got to cut them off, but don't look at them like they're the bad guy. They actually just helped your ass. They helped you. Because whatever was inside of you probably was sound asleep. It was silent. And it could be something real simple. Someone not opening the door for you. And you're like, oh, this disrespectful person, why they didn't open the door? That could have been reconnected to something as a child. You might have felt emotionally neglected, like no one took care of you. No one honored your needs. And so that triggered you. Just because someone opened the door. Like I said, trauma is very perceptional based. So it could be the smallest thing that can trigger anything. But we have to allow ourselves to experience the emotions. So when a trigger does happen, and there's ways you can release the emotions at will. So that's definitely a thing. But let's just say, for the sake of this video, keep it real simple. You want to just kind of keep that in mind, that you just felt triggered, and start to breathe. And I mean consciously breathe, because 9 times out of 10, your air capacity, your lungs, everything's constricted up, so you feel real tight. So you want to take a deep belly breath, breathe. Breathe through the belly, breathe through the nose, expand the belly outward like a Santa Claus, exhale throughout the mouth. Do that about 5, 6, maybe 10 times. Let's do 10 times, 10 breathing cycles to help regulate the nervous system, because it's activated. Okay? So I want to harp on that. Utilize your triggers as opportunities for you to heal. Remove yourself if you have to, but understand that that person, place, or thing just helped you. All right? Next thing I want to talk about, as we move forward with this. Like I said, doing the healing work, especially in terms of self-healing, it's not so much about reliving the experience, because when you're having these sensations inside of your body, it feels like you're reliving the experience again. It's not so much about that. So when you're doing, and we about to go into that, but it's not so much about revisiting those things and trying to relive again. It's more so about just feeling. All you have to do is feel it to heal it. That is literally what you're doing. Feel a little bit of something to heal a lot of bit of something. It doesn't take much to heal yourself, okay? And let me just do that. Let me do that too, as a little small definition. Healing is not intellectualizing. Healing is not analyzing. Healing is not being just aware mentally that you have these triggers or these traumas in your body. That is not healing. That's you still holding on to the memory, and you're still holding on to the pain. True healing is when you actually have some type of release, some type of relief, some type of it starts to feel like a emptiness. It starts to feel like something is actually being shifted. An actually energetic shift takes place in your body. That's when you're doing actual healing. Because healing is, this word has been thrown around too much. I'm seeing this shit thrown around too much. There's a path, there's a journey to get into healing. But until you get to that point where you actually have the release, even crying, let's just throw that up. People don't even like to cry. That's the easiest way to release any emotion, is cry. You notice how after you cry, you start to feel light, you start to feel better. That's healing. When you feel that sensation after you cry, you feel way more lighter. You feel like you just let it all out. That's healing. Because prior to that, you wasn't feeling like that. You was feeling real heavy. You was feeling real stuck. You finally let all that stress, all that anxiety, all that, stress hormones stored in your body got released through your eyes. Okay? So please understand that it's about feeling. You got to feel it to heal it. That is really a thing. That is, when people say that, it's a thing. You have to feel it to heal it. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I want to share with you guys. This is how I approach my self-healing practices. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys some somatic practices to help you release trauma on your own. All right. This is just for you on your own. Now, you can do more research and do more, Google searches to find more exercises. These are the ones that I think that's very helpful and can definitely get you started today doing some work, okay? So somatic means body, or soma means body. So it's like body practices. It's not enough to be in your mind. Like I just said, you got to get in the body. All of the trauma, all of the emotions are stored in the body, okay? So the first practice is called box breathing, all right? I want you guys to Google these exercises, or just look them up on YouTube. They're real easy to find, and definitely find one that resonates with you, all right? They got box breathing. You have breath work, specifically diaphragmatic breathing. Now, just a little FYI, I am a breathwork facilitator. So this is actually the breathwork practice that I offer to all my clients and everyone who has taken my events. This is extremely powerful breathwork practice. I highly recommend for anybody who's looking to have a release, a powerful release in less than 20 minutes, please come to one of my events. I have a virtual event coming up February 16th. It's for men only. I'm doing a men's only series for right now. But please show up. It's just a powerful experience. I promise you. This is something I went through, so that's why I made the investment and I'm offering it to the community. All right. Another somatic practice is EMDR. I highly suggest you look up EMDR. It is one of the most powerful trauma releasing practices as well. Another practice is aesthetic, or I think I'm saying that word, aesthetic or something like that. Intuitive dancing, basically, which is basically as you just basically get into a state of dancing, a wild kind of a wild dance where you're just dancing freely and with no form. And it's great for healing and also great for releasing a lot of stress and trauma out of the body. There's another practice called neurogenic tremoring or neurogenic shaking. This particular practice is similar to like how animals release trauma out the body. So it's said that, of course, when you have a lot of emotions stored up in the body, if you can just shake it off, right? Stand up, shake it off real good, you will actually release the trauma out the body before it actually gets stored somewhere in the body. When you pay attention to animals do this all the time. Like the book I told y'all to get, that's what he goes deep in. He goes deep on how animals never really store trauma like that, but humans do. So he creates he shows you the difference between why humans store trauma versus animals. Powerful. And last but not least, it's a technique called butterfly hug. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, what we're about to do is, because I pretty much think I have shared everything I want to share with you guys, is I'm gonna walk you guys through a practice that I've utilized. So you can do this step by step, and you can do this for yourself, and you can start to see what kind of results you get from this. All right. And so before I do that, I just want to put out a disclaimer. Everything that I just shared on this video, I am not a clinical therapist. I am not a doctor. This is all free information for education purposes. All right. So what you do with this information is for you. Okay. It's whatever you choose to do with it. All right. And also I want to share that when you're doing these practices, if you feel like your emotions are too strong, if you feel like you just cannot hold the energy, like you just feel like you can't stay in it long enough to heal it, then I highly suggest that you do not do the practices. And I highly suggest that you reach out to a professional therapist, but reach out to a professional therapist who specializes in somatic healing. Make sure that they specialize in some type of somatic healing, okay? And also, if you want to like put on your bravery cap and push through, not pushing through, but you want to like embrace it, I suggest that you just feel a little bit of the sensations, a little bit of discomfort. You don't have to go 110 to feel the full sensation. It's best that you do it, but if you just want to kind of get your feet wet to start to get familiar with the sensations and the motions and the discomfort, I suggest that you just feel like a little bit of it. So let's say, for instance, that you measure your emotions, right, from a scale to 1 to 10. 10 being very intense, 0 being very minimal. If it's at like an 8, try to feel like 2, like maybe like a 2, like 2% of that, or how you want to look at it, on a scale of 1 to 10, you know what I'm saying? A 2. Feel like 2, you feel me? It feels weird saying like that, but you know what I'm saying. I highly suggest you do that to kind of just slowly break down some of that energy to start desensitizing it, because all of the trauma is just a highly charged energy. So you need to desensitize it to make it less strong. And then once you start to bring it down to 0, it don't have this major impact on your body. You're not going to be having all these sensations. You're not going to be having all these thoughts, because everything's linked to that one source of energy, which we call trauma. Okay. So, all right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. So I'm going to share this practice with you guys. All right. And I'm going to try to do it in real time. All right. So this is one of the practices that I have shared with one of my clients, and these one of the practices that I have used also. So basically, the first step that you have to understand when you're trying to heal yourself in an environment that has created, let's say, the trauma or the sickness that you're in, is you need to find a safe space for yourself. And what that looks like is, for me personally, I'm in a four-corner room. I'm healing in a four-corner room in the own privacy of my bed. I got the door locked. I make sure that no one not at home, and if people are at home, I do my thing. All right. You have to find your safe space. So it could be, like I said, your bedroom. It could be a bathroom. It could be your car. It could be a garage. It could be anything. It could be the closet. Wherever you could find a safe space away from people who may potentially be triggering you, or where you feel like if you're about to step into vulnerability, but you know you're about to be real vulnerable, make sure you have a safe space for that. That's so important, because you need to have your nervous system very relaxed. You don't need to be in a hyperactive environment, obviously, but you want to make sure that you pick a safe space for that. Okay. So boom, let's just say you found your safe space. All right. All right. Next thing you want to do, once you found your safe space, rather, you could do this practice laying down, or you can do it like sitting down. You found your safe space. Boom. Step 2, you want to recall on the feeling or the emotion that you would like to release. All right. So we're gonna do this in real time. All right. So let me think of it. Let me think of something I want to release. Okay. I have something that I would like to release. And what I'm doing right now is I'm making the feeling a little bit more pronounced in my body. I want to feel it very strongly. Sometimes when you're conjuring up a certain memory or something that you like to work on, it may not be as strong. So you want to get it to the point where you can actually feel it. Like you want to get a little bit of like, oh, no, it's evident. I could definitely feel it. So you just take some time, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, to just keep making it to where it feels real strong in the body. Just not too much, but enough for you to be comfortable with, okay? So boom, I have my experience, okay? Now step 3, okay? Step 3 is I hold that feeling, those emotions, I hold it in my awareness, meaning I'm focusing all of my awareness on my physical body, where all the sensations has been built up based off of the memory or the event, the person, place, or thing. So whatever I'm feeling right now, I'm keeping my awareness on the feelings of it. That's all I'm doing, just feeling it. That's it. Okay. So hold that experience, hold that feeling. Next, what you do, step 4 is you cross your hands like this, and you're going to do something called butterfly taps or butterfly hug, just like that. Now I'm already shifting. You probably can't see it, but my body's shaking right now. Now, once you continue to do this, step 5 is you're going to do eye movement from left to right. This is part of a EMDR technique. So you're going to continue to do this throughout the whole process. Butterfly taps, and then you're going to look left to right. Act like you're trying to look at your ear. You're going to do that the whole entire time, left to right. And then next, and you're still feeling all the emotions, okay? You're still feeling all the emotions. Then the next step, which is step 6, is you're going to count from 1 to 30 out loud. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right. So now that completes the practice. Pay attention to how you feel. You may feel a little lighter. You may feel like, oh shit, like I feel great, you know. The last step is you do an emotional evaluation. Pay attention to how you feel. So when you first start the exercise, you want to do emotional evaluation. So actually, that's the first step that you do. You want to see on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is the emotion that you feel. So if you felt an 8 before you start, when you get to the end of the practice, you reevaluate your emotions again and see if it went down from an 8 to a 4 or an 8 to a 2 or an 8 to a 1. See how many points did it go down. So say, for instance, it was at an 8 and it went down to a 4. That's what? That's what we call that, 50%. That's half the work done. So do it again. So you do the practice again, and you do it again, and you do it again till it completely gets down to 1 or at least to 0. Okay. Now, obviously, you're going to be like, well, how do I know it's a 0? You'll know. Okay. And also a good indicator is pay attention to how your body is moving. So the way trauma works is trauma creates a lot of shaking, a lot of tremoring. You start to just have these energetic shifts, these shakes. Your body might just start doing all this. It gets intense, but the body is releasing all of the trauma. Okay, so that's a great indicator that everything is being released. Okay, so just keep doing the same practice repeatedly, and it will eventually resolve all of the emotions. Now, if there's something that's a little bit more deeper, then of course that requires a little bit more work, and it might require a different type of practice, and it might require some support. It just depends on what it is. And so, yeah, you guys, I hope that helped. I really, really hope that helped. Let me know if that did help. If anybody did try that practice, please let me know in the comment section. Let me know it was easy for you. That you feel any releases, anything of that nature. Please let me know. And I thank you guys. I'm about to end off on that note. So, yeah, you guys, I think I'm about to end off on that note. But just to recap, self-healing is possible, and you can heal in an environment that created the toxicity, that created the trauma. You have to understand that once the trauma or the emotion that you're trying to get rid of has been stored in your body, the damage is already done. Meaning that you can always go back to that emotion or that experience in anywhere around the world. You can be way in Rome, and you could just think of that experience and you can release it in Rome. So the environment has already done this thing already. So now the environment that has done this thing already is now part of your internal environment. So you have to go inward and you have to address the internal environment. And you have to stop putting all your attention towards the external environment. You have to stop, and I'm just saying this is a generalization because I noticed that this is something that people do. You have to stop blaming or stop running away or even stop, let's just say, finding yourself in a quiet place and feeling like you got to protect yourself from everything because of how the world is. That is you magnetizing these things to you. That's the harsh reality of it. You can't escape something that's already inside of you. So every time that something does, let's say, give you this hyperarousal effect, know that that's something you have to release. As soon as you feel it, as soon as you know, go to this practice or try any of these other practices and start to work on it. It's literally, that's what you're doing. You're just trying to discharge the energy. That's literally what we're doing. We're discharging energy. That's all trauma is. You're just trying to discharge the energy to make it very, very weak so it don't have this strong physical effect on the body. And as a result, a lot of things come into play. Your thoughts will start to shift a little bit. It really just depends because you develop a lot of habits around this trauma. So you might also have to reprogram yourself and change your neural pathways and practice different habits so you won't, because the body's going to still react. 9 times out of 10, the body's still going to react like you have the emotion inside of you. So you have to be able to be aware of like, yo, I don't feel this no more. And pay attention to how your body is responding. Your body's still responding like it just got triggered. That means that it has literally created habits around the trauma. So now you have to reprogram your habits. Okay. But yes, it is our responsibility to heal ourselves, first and foremost. You can go to a therapist, and like I said, I'm not against therapy, traditional therapy, but you know what you need to heal more than that traditional therapy. Not everybody's going to be able to get to the core of what it is that you need healing with. Only you truly know that. That's why therapists ask you questions, because they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you or what you need support with. But you know what you need support with before you even get into the room. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do. But for the most part, your deepest wounds is coming from your childhood wounds you need support with. All right. And on that note, for you guys, also, this is my last message. I do offer inner child healing work. So if you're looking to go deep into childhood trauma, which is where all of the gems are, that's where you get the most healing. I put this on everything. Please reach out to me. Check my website out. Let's set up a consultation. Send me an email. Leave a comment, something, because this work right here, it ain't going nowhere. Everybody got to go through this work to get to heaven. They always talk about to get into the kingdom of heaven, you got to act childlike. Where you think inner child work come from? Why you think inner child work is so important? Okay, so you guys definitely, if you need some support, please reach out. And on that note, I'm not going to hold you guys. I'm going to let you guys go. And peace out.